there it went. Yay. I love how I just said it and it came out. So now I'm going to say chocolate milkshake. That didn't work. Okay. Anyway, go ahead, Lee, and you can just kind of fill us in on that stuff.
Okay. So primarily with the website, I just kind of was given a bunch of that initial starting materials and set up those initial pages just to kind of get you started. What we can do, and we put it within the county manager website because that just seems the most logical place to put it rather than under the council content. So what we can do is I can have the web team create a short URL that will basically work as a redirect. So if you wanted to say park.wa.charter, or if you want to, come up with your shorter URL so that you have that county manager in your URL on any kind of promotional material or information that you want to put out, we can do that for you. You'll still stay within the county manager microsite, if you will, but people will be able to link directly to it. So, and you can publish that shorter URL. So I think Johnny mentioned kind of the use of the CRC, where that's a natural abbreviation for you.
Oh yeah.
Many residents are going to associate that with the Columbia thing. That you just not that you shouldn't use it, but you just be aware that some people are going to have that initial association with it. So
I thought the same thing.
I'm actually eager to hear some of your feedback and how you would like to see some of the way that the information is currently presented. What rearrangement or your organization is going to be more efficient and more effective for you? I have some limitations because I have to kind of stay within the architecture of the county website, but there's a fair amount that we can do to kind of make the first page people end up on more like a landing page with some more visuals or links or that kind of thing, and kind of move some of that content around. So, and we can add more pages, and we've got, another tier of navigation that we can go to as well, whatever kind of is going to be the most and useful for you to have, the information arranged.
Well, Chris, I'm thinking that you might have most of the questions since you are our webmaster, our official charter webmaster. So you want to take it away?
Can I apologize first, Leigh, for not having this information available? This wasn't on the agenda, and so I didn't realize that this was going to be.
I announced it last night at the meeting. I said that we were going to be talking about the website when we were talking about the budget.
Oh, I thought we were talking just about how much the website, and I didn't realize you'd be here. But I'd be happy to have these to think about it and share when I have more time. But I'm sure Chris has been thinking at it more since he's kind of our website guy.
Yeah, so just in general for the website approach, I think the county site's actually fine for what it is, but what would really be helpful is to have a page where we have control over the formatting of the content. And we can do whatever things necessary for accountability, for public records requests and all that. We can have whatever disclaimers. We can have, the paid for by kind of bug on there as well too. But to have the static clark.wa.org website, it's not really going to be useful for us because we have to ask for someone else to do an update every time we want to change something with how something's presented, if we're collecting information or if we're pushing information out. As well as how we kind of have a place to direct folks towards for our asks that are going to come out of the survey and the town halls and all that. So sure. I wouldn't actually change the county website at all. If it's possible to arrange to have this other one going on that will reference and lead back to it and always say that this is not the official site. And if there's literally no way we can do that, but I think there is because we've done similar things before with the actual county work. If there's not, then I guess we can just run one as private citizens on our own dime if we need to, but I would prefer to have it couched in the official program.
So I think this was addressed in an email earlier in the week, but if you want to do your own standalone website, then it's kind of on your own dime and organization. I can't provide really any county branding to you for that at all, because it would just have to be a standalone thing. So so that would be kind of,
I mean, not as an individual, but as the commission.
as the commission.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can make whatever additions or, like I said, adjustments to the existing county material to make that more workable for you, and be available to make additional web edits and change content and that kind of thing for you. And I'm usually pretty responsive and can get on that rather quickly. So if that's something that you'd like to do, I'm more than happy to be available and help you with that. There are some different options with what the county pages look like, but they are there is kind of a certain architecture to them. So if you show me kind of what you're hoping to be able to do, I might be able to duplicate some of that. If you want to kind of continue to kind of develop out the content that's on the county site.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I'm not familiar with the trappings and the limitedness of what we can do with the county site enough. I don't think that it can meet the real engagement needs that we want to meet. But one ask, I don't know if it can get done, and it would take a little bit of work. But the only place the charter exists currently is a PDF, buried under a link that you can download on the website. And there's a couple other counties have examples where, and I made, kind of a proof of concept during my campaign for this is another way to present it that's actually more easy for people to go to a specific article, expand the section, close it, look at, different pieces. It's just the way it's organized and presented. It is not accessible currently. But if we could have a site where we could be okay, whether it's drop down functions in one document, click on article 1 and then boom, there's article 1. Then you can close it, click on article 2, and it's just right there in the website, copy and pastable and all that. I think that would be eminently helpful for our work, and also when we do have a new charter too, to have that a little more.
Okay.
Do you understand what
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's
All right.
something you can do or not, but that's a big piece of why I was pushing for something independent, because the PDF.
So just the charter not as a PDF, you'd rather have kind of all that content maybe be its own little
Dynamic.
and maybe organized by articles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Organized by articles. I mean, also have it available as download, definitely, for the PDF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you know what, Chris, the only thing that I think of if I'm putting myself as a county person, what if Chris wins the lottery? I got a lottery ticket I haven't checked from yesterday, so it could be me. But what if you win the lottery? Who's going to update the website if you're gone? That's a single point of failure right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I want to make sure we have 2 people at least for each of these lead things too, especially if it ends up being an independent website. And I want to make sure that the if we do something like that
Sure.
it is the committee's, it is not mine.
Yeah.
Even if I end up paying for it, because I'm inclined to do something like that. It's not very expensive. So yeah, it's a very, very good point there too. So what I'm kind of sorry, go
I
ahead,
don't
Lee.
see why we couldn't, pull the charter into just straight web content. And I think there's probably vested interest to the community to have that done. So I think it would be worth the time and effort to pull that out.
I'd be so happy.
I can take a look at it early next week and kind of get back to you and give you kind of a time estimate of when I think I can have that published. There is a link right now to both the charter, the commission and the charter are both linked under county government on the homepage. So that's one way for people to be able to find it, though it does link to that PDF. So maybe we can, once we get that published, I can update that homepage links to go to kind of a subsection of the charter review.
Super, that'd be brilliant.
So that you've got it right there.
Subsections too, I was going to ask for that as well. If we could link specifically to Amendment 2 or specifically to Amendment 3, that would be a handy piece of that too.
Okay.
And that way we can just direct directly towards that official website for whatever piece. And it takes away at least half of what we would, be trying to compensate for on an independent site. So I think that'd be really good.
Okay. Chris, I may reach out to you once I kind of take a little bit closer look at the charter and just kind of have you maybe give me some feedback on kind of an organizational structure next week. Would that be all right?
Yeah, that sounds great. And we
Okay.
can chat a little bit more about what's actually feasible for as far as like swiftly updating or changing things. Like part of the stuff we might want to do with a website is, as we have our meetings, here's the latest, put it just in a not so formal boxes setting, and to have it set up so that instead of having to scroll down to the meeting that a document was presented, to be able to like do it by subject. And it's just creating more work for your web team if it sits in county. So that's kind of where it's like, can we do that? But as far as like organization goes, that would be one of the pieces I want to look at too. Like, can I see all of
Okay.
the documents, or by subject or something like that?
So, I mean, any web editing would probably be done by Johnny or I. So we're your team to kind of, if you say after the day after the meeting of the night of, sent us a list of content that you wanted set up by topic, and if you could give us maybe a subject list of what those categories are likely to be, we can set up like a column or a section for each of those, and then we could just add those under the specific categories, and we can come up with a naming protocol so it's easy for the public to be able to find both the content and the date where that was discussed. So we could do something like that. That'd be easy to do.
Yeah, I think if we could do both those things, that's 90% of my concerns about that element of engagement.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, gang?
So
The other thing I
so-
was going to say is that it could be also do translation, right? Can you do you have multiple languages and the translator?
So we were just in the process of working to get Google Translate set up on the website, and they are no longer offering that.
Oh man.
So they're wanting you to use your browser. So we would need to send it out and translate it. But I can talk with Kathleen about whether that's within the budget, and then it would just go against the commission expenses. But I could certainly have that translated. Usually, depending on the length of the document, it can take a couple of days. But we've got good translation resources for Spanish, Russian, or whatever language that you may need.
Brilliant. I asked about it last year and I got a hard no. But maybe now that things are running, and if it's coming from you, Leah, it might be a little bit better. And then I priced it out with the community, and I got estimates ranging from $1,500 to $5,000 for the 11 or 12 pages for each language. So.
Oh wow, that sounds high.
yeah.
That's why I didn't pay for it with campaign funds.
But we definitely want to be inclusive. So
Right, and we don't want to
Yeah,
have
I mean,
community pay themselves for it. So it would be. I think
It
would
is
serve
an
the-
additional. Oh, sorry. It is an additional, outside expense. So you do kind of want to prioritize your content there. But like I said, especially with this year with COVID, we've been translating most everything into Russian and Spanish, Vietnamese, Chuukese, variety of other languages. So I've got, like I said, I've got ready resources and can get those estimated and pricing back if you need competitive bidding and that kind of stuff. But let me look into the translation budget on materials.
Hooray.
So we're still working on a solution for kind of overall site translation, but it's going to take us a little longer since Google is not playing with this anymore.
That's a pity.
Yeah,
all right.
that we reached out and got the code to implement it, and we'll go back to them to finalize it. They have stopped offering it.
That's too bad.
So,
Go ahead, please finish yours.
I think there's an overall move so that your whatever browser you're using is the translation function for all content is going to be kind of embedded in your browser, which is, I think, dropping it. So it's a little bit more universal. So it'll be more of a widespread thing, and kind of the trend will be going that way. So
Cool.
That's what we have at my workplace too.
That's great.
Yeah.
The other kind of website element was the notion of a Facebook page for the commission that we could, obviously with guidelines and reporting stuff. I wasn't sure if we could just make one. It's at no cost. and run it, or if, because I know the county, if we have a county account associated with it, it'll automatically capture everything for public records. I don't know if that's available or if we should just do our own.
It would need to be, somebody in the communications office would need to be, I think would need to be also an administrator on it. And I think we have to make sure that that you're included in that sweep for public records. But you could also, again, if you want to do that under kind of county branding, I can check in with Johnny about that and make sure that I'm telling you everything correctly, because she handles more of the social media aspect of it. But again, you also could set up your own Facebook page as the commission. It just wouldn't, and you're free to use welcome to use the graphics that I've given you to, set up on your own Facebook pages. Those are fine. But as far as the overall branding of the Facebook page would need to be something you come up with on your own.
So my thought would be, it's probably simplest. A lot of us have commissioner or candidate pages that we would use to be the central, rather than a personal page. I don't want to use that with anything official. To be like the administrators and such. And it seems simplest to just not, I don't think we need to have official county branding, but I want to make sure that we're doing things in a way that would be, to not make it harder to do public record requests and stuff like that. So I think I would need a little guidance.
Okay.
How to do a separate page that would have wheels greased for that.
Sure.
But if it's as simple as having having one of you on as an admin who just doesn't really do anything but is there to scrape data, that would be, I think, just fine too. Subject to what the other committee members think.
If the county is involved, and again, this is where Johnny's going to probably be able to give a little bit more input, but there may be some things that, like if you want to promote certain and encourage people to vote a certain way on some of the recommendations you're making, then the county couldn't be involved at that point. Right. So
that's a great point. Later on, probably want to use that same page for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is super helpful. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Lee?
I do. I just have one question. Is and yeah, I think you answered a lot of what I had with your conversation with Chris, but my just request is that any communications that's like when you send Chris a communication, if you could CC the rest of the committee members on it, because then we don't spend time in meetings like getting caught up on things that Chris is working, or that's generally how our subcommittees have been working. And, sure. Just so we're all in the loop of what, even though we might not respond at all, but at least we would know, like you talked about an email last week about where this was discussed, and I don't think I was aware of that one. So, okay. So I would appreciate, just being CC'd on everything. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Happy to do that.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks for your advice.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being willing to come and go home and enjoy your day.
I will. If you need anything else from me, feel free to reach out, and I'll get back to you next week on the charter and some of the other things we talked about.
And we're going to get the graphics for the town hall for Nextdoor and Facebook and all that for the 12th and the 16th, right? Or the 9th and the 16th. Okay. It's the 12th and the 16th. You got the 9th.
Yeah, I'll do those early next week.
And I want you to know, I really, I share your graphic and your link that the county puts out about our meetings every Wednesday. And I love them. They're really great. Yeah, because you just click on it and it takes you right to the link.
Excellent.
I love it. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Lee.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. So here's our agenda for today. I know we may not get through every single thing because not everybody's here. Do we have somebody on the phone? It could be somebody from the public.
We do have a call-in.
That's what I just said.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, hi. This is Johnny. I'm just listening to your meeting.
Oh, hi, Johnny. Thanks.
Hi.
All righty. So we just heard from Lee on the website creation rules, and I think we've got good strategy there. And it does seem like it'll be easier for you, Chris, too. Many hands make light work. So, okay. Next thing we were going to do was go high level over the strategy now and the budget, which we did go over last night at the meeting. So, any response, any input we're asking for by end of day tomorrow. So we can incorporate that in. Anything high level? Because I know we've got a lot to cover.
So going over the strategy, I was hoping that Eric would be here as well, because I have a few questions about it, just because I'm not really quite understanding it. Because in the timeline, you talk about 526, there being 3 different lead teams, but in their actual strategy, you talk about setting up 2 primary lead teams. Did that change, or
That's just because it started out with just the input and output, and then when we had the timeline, that was something that was added on. It's just a part of the nature of this as a rough draft, and one of the things that I hope to refine, with whatever the final one looks like.
Okay, and then
just me like throwing this together in general. So I was going to save any refining for this group meeting.
yeah, and that's what I thought we were going to go over
Whether people want to
at
do
this
those
meeting,
three
because
leads or
we
not,
actually
so.
asked for approval of this, and it hadn't gone through subcommittee yet. But so on 520, you had sent an open letter and press release. Was that sent?
Nope.
That was the sorry, go ahead, Maureen.
Yep, go ahead. You go ahead. And I'll follow up.
I haven't been involved in that at all. We brought it up at the meeting. We shared it with the group, asked for comment. Nobody
No, I
made
remember
any
that.
comments, and then Maureen.
Yeah,
just
and
don't know if
then
it was
we
sent.
didn't get any comment. So we have it. And one of the things that, and Johnny's on the line with us, so Johnny is our press strategy person, but we've got that press release, but we also have the ones for virtual town hall. So the decision was made to send out the ones for the virtual town hall first, so we can get those added, and then to send out the open public engagement. So they'll piggyback off each other.
Okay, so I didn't realize any of these plans were being made. So Johnny, since you're on the line too, can I ask you to CC me on communications around this kind of thing, so we can be in the loop about the rest of the committee can be in the loop of what's happening and what people are doing. Not that, I have any problem with that. It's just, people should, within the committee should know what's going on. So, okay, well, that sounds great. Thanks for answering that.
Yeah, I've also felt just a little bit of drift as far as like tracking what's going on, and some things maybe I'm missing them in emails, but just I think over communication is a little bit better with these tasks that are coming out than potentially under.
Yeah. Are other subcommittees like the redistricting committee, like, there's conversations with Greg Kemsey.
I hear you. You made your point. You've made your point. Let's move on. Everybody heard you, so you want to be informed about everything. Got it. Anything else about the budget, Chris?
Do we have questions about it? I like the idea that came up about just kind of piece by piece.
I have a
Can we
question,
spend
Chris.
this much on that thing, and then
Does our budget change much if we're not going to be setting up our own website? We don't have that, but
it's tiny to begin with.
yeah, okay.
But
okay, cool.
on the other hand, if we have at least a token like budget pool to pull from, then we don't have to wait for a whole charter commission meeting and take up time during a meeting to get an approval for something like stamps or, I don't know what. So I think maybe I'd push back for just give us permission to use at our subcommittee's discretion, I guess chair's discretion, rather than the subcommittee chair's discretion rather than by commission vote, I think would be helpful for greasing the wheels. We don't need extra delays if we can avoid them, I think.
I know. So last night they wanted an actual breakdown, and
it was on his proposal. Did you not look at that? It was on the last
I
page.
looked at it, Maureen, but I thought that I saw Chair D'Alessandro ask for, like, when you get something closer, then we will vote on it and okay it. Did we vote on it?
No, we didn't vote on it yet because we were going to ask for end of day tomorrow for all the commissioners to submit any suggestions or changes, and then we'll be able to adjust the budget per the changes.
Okay, thanks.
The other thing we were going to talk about, so that was pretty much the communications strategy. And the other thing that you did want to talk about, Chris, I remember, was what if there are community events where we need a table and a sign and stuff like that? We don't know how much that stuff costs. And Terry, I figured you did since you're always at the farmer's market.
Well, I know what I've done for my other events, and I know that banners usually run like $100, but then if we are, the Clark County may have banners, and just because we are the charter review, and that may be appropriate to use their banners. I'm not sure. Chris might know that when you set up any kind of table in an event. If there's banners, and so that would save us some money there. I did want to, the only other thing that I think I wanted to talk to is printing capabilities at the county. I know that we had a printer at, the CCD office that was able to print up, nice colored print things. Like if we wanted to print something for tabling or something like that, that would save us quite a bit of money. Because printing is very, very expensive. And if we could just use a county printer to do that, I'm not sure if that would be, that's appropriate or not appropriate.
Johnny, I think that one's to you. Do we have access to printing functions?
Yeah, we actually have print services. We have a full-on department that can do that. And as long as it's not promoting or, trying to get sway votes, if you will, as long as it's strictly information, yes, you can use our print services.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, Johnny. Because I was thinking, like, as we're moving forward, is like having, you guys put together like a flyer, like saying, what is your top issue? What's your, or what can you give us some input, and having a suggestion box, or just like a flyer with dates of when our meetings are and those kind of things. So it's something very general. That would be awesome to have at a tabling event. Thank you.
Yeah, that's something we can do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. And Chris, that's one of the reasons we put in a little cushion on that budget, right? Because we didn't want to be exact and digitally exact. We wanted to be directionally accurate. So any other comments on the strategy?
Yeah, I just think if we had just like on one like page, clear instructions of how, if we want something printed or something produced,
Yes, that's a good idea.
what's step 1, step 2, step 3, how much lead time do you need, and when could we expect the product? And I think that'll be helpful so that we can just, again, just getting things going to have that handy.
Oh, that's a great idea, Chris.
Do we have that, Ray? Is there some PDF you can send us?
Johnny now.
Johnny, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Or do you make
Let me work with Lee on that very early next week. She's actually on vacation this week, so I don't want to bug her again. But let me work with her, and we will get you that information so you have it all. Then we'll get it out to all of you, everybody on the committee.
Oh, thank you.
Is that okay?
And thank you. That's so helpful, because I have to tell you, my outreach budget before, the number one expense was printing. If you don't have a printer that's available. So, I mean, it costs more than venues, everything. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Does that have on there, Johnny, what the lead time is that you're going to need? Because we're trying to really respect, like, if you need 5-10 days, does it have on there?
And that's why I want to talk to Lee first, because really the time for her is the creation. We can get things printed pretty quickly. So let me chat with her, and we'll get all that information to you guys in an email next week.
Thank you. Okay. So the next part was the public engagements. And I know that that was something Dorothy was working on.
So I have one more question
create
about this. Before we move forward, I just have one more question about the Speakers Bureau flow defined. I'm really not quite sure what that's in reference to, Chris. That's in your strategy.
It was a holdover from last time. It's a thing where you have basically these people are available to be brought into your group's meeting to talk about the subject, or to be a panel kind of a thing. I think it's kind of weird terminology, Speakers Bureau, but if that's what people know it as, then cool.
Okay, well, maybe we should, like, when the whole committee's here, like, and we go more in depth through this, like, Or I can start an email and people, and just we can fill each other how we want to do that.
I kind of think our whole commission is our speakers bureau, and if
I
we're
know, right?
controlling, yeah, if we're controlling that input output with our chair or with like an input output lead or whatever, then that person would kind of broker like, hey, who can come to this event?
Yep.
We're sending Chuck and we're sending Chris to this one. Those are our two. Others can attend as attendees or whatever, and kind of manage that.
Well, we have to discuss. Yeah, we'll wait until Dorothy gets here to discuss, because I heard she was going to discuss about how many people that she wants to come and how many. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and that reminds me.
I talked to her that I had a meeting with her today, and she was planning on coming.
We should check in.
Things happen.
Yeah.
So this is what I did with her. Thanks, Chris. This is what I did with what she has come up with so far. I just put it in a table. And these are the items. I get she's still working on this because I think that like people change out, dates change. There's a lot of stuff still canceled for COVID. I did put the suggestions Terry had down here on this slide, and that way, not slide, but this worksheet, that way Dorothy can go forward and start researching them as well. From what Deanna said via email, almost everything. Hey, there she is. Oh my God, are your ears burning?
I know there's a lot of outdated things. That was just something in an email that I sent out. I do have a huge, extensive list from outreach that the party put together that I have around here somewhere, and I have to find it, about organizations. It's probably a couple of hundred. And I told, I told Dorothy that I would dig it up. I have to go through because it's from 2018, but they are organizations within our community, and it has email addresses and those kind of things. And so she can, she can share it with us, and we go, okay, these are the ones that we would like to target, or we want to send out an invitation to all of them saying, hey, do you have any input? Or we're interested in how you feel, or, when I talked to Dorothy.
That's a great idea. If we had the emails for them all, we could send out the survey that we're going to talk about next with Deanna, and we do. That's a great idea.
Well, I think that any any
That's a really
kind
good
of response, whether it's to the survey or just an email response from their president or something saying, this is what affects my community, and this is what's important to me. Any email response is a win-win, right? So, and in this busy time of COVID, anything that we can get as far as input, we're kind of like behind the ball, I think, as far as input. Like we need to get as much input as we can.
That's a good idea. Johnny, is there any kind of rule do we have to email it through the county email? Do we have to have you guys email it? How does that work? If we want to send out the link for the survey to all those community events.
You know what? I think if it's community events, and again, it's mostly about what information are you presenting, right? So if you're, again, just kind of presenting the facts, here's what we've done, here's what's going to be on the ballot, kind of thing, and not advocating is kind of the big deal. I think we can do that. Let me double check that though.
Johnny,
I
have a question. I
Uh-huh.
have a question about that. If we send out an email, and I guess from one of the co-chairs of the commission or something, to these organizations, and just ask them to respond to Tina's email address, like all of our public comments are, would that constitute, and all of our public comments go to her, and then she shares with us. Would that be a better way to handle it?
It might be. Before I give you any really final solid answer on that, I really want to talk to legal and make sure we're doing everything correctly.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to do that, take care of it, but I don't want to give you a solid answer right now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Got it. Welcome, Deanna. Okay, so just so you know, I'm just going to kind of bring you up to speed real quick because I know you had an urgent work thing. So What we're reviewing right now is we already kind of went through some of the rules of engagement for the website with Lee. So Chris, I think you're pretty satisfied with that, yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we just went through the communication strategy. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to comms strategy and budget before we keep moving?
No, I
You
like
got a
it.
chance to look at it?
No, I thought it looked good.
Okay, awesome. And we just talked a little bit about the community events. That's what I had up. Dorothy started working on these, and it's a work in progress. Obviously, we'll iteratively be working on it, but we've got these so far. If we have several hundred, I mean, that's going to be a whole discussion for this committee to talk about it. How are we going to handle that many? How do we prioritize them? Things like that. But then there are these events too that Terry emailed out today that I'm just adding to this, and then I'll email out so Dorothy has a working copy. I know that you said that a lot of things might be canceled, but we'll stick them on there and see what happens.
I do think it's a really good idea to reach out to Commissioner D'Alessandro to, he does sit on the Battleground City Council. And so he knows about public events in Battleground. And so that he's an unbelievable resource there as far as people and organizations within Battleground to reach out to.
Yep.
And you are too, Deanna. You're so hooked into Camas. Thank you.
Whether or not you want to be or not right now.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of you, Deanna, your timing's perfect because I was just talking about this. So here's some of the things for the survey. So before we launch into this in depth, knowing we have 18 minutes and we're ending on time, before we do that, I just wanted to say, I saw your email before, Terry. We weren't given any real clear direction on what the survey is to find, what we're supposed to be asking for. So this is directionally accurate. We also don't have the restriction that we can only do one. So we can do multiple iterative surveys. And everything I have been told from staff, and frankly, from my own personal business experiences, the more questions we have, the less likely people will finish it and complete it. With all that being said, there's all your stipulations. Deanna, take it away.
Yeah, so I won't profess to be an expert in writing survey questions, but I was asked to do this, so I just wanted to get something pen on paper. And so I had started a specific question about an ethics commission, and I was struggling with how to word that. So that's one that and a DEI question I would welcome feedback on. But I just figured, and I'm not married to any of the wording. I just thought this was a, simple format to get the questions asked. But I'm not married to any of it. We can add, subtract. I thought leaving a why or why not with like an open-ended box where people can feel free to add comments or not, I thought was good because then the people that do will add them and the people that won't. And then SurveyMonkey can, or whatever we use, can compile all of the miscellaneous comments and give us a report of answers and comments that we can then share with the public and with the full commission. So I thought that would be helpful. So we can also put questions about things that we are thinking about for next year. I mean, I'm open to whatever. So this was just a start. I will say that, and I think Chris and Terry probably feel me on this. I'm feeling a little crunched and overwhelmed with the drafting committee stuff we have going on tomorrow as well. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow, Friday, tomorrow, and then kind of throughout the weekend. But yeah, this, like I said, I'm happy with whatever we choose to do. This was just a start. So
no, and thank you for that, Deanna. I appreciate that. And this is something that we can probably by email, just copy, make changes and stuff too, or people have suggestions to about as well as we talk about these survey questions. But I really appreciate the work that you're putting in. I think that some of the things about the districting, I think that I might have worded them a little bit different, but I'll send that out in email. And
this was done, the way that these questions were done were these were drafted very specifically for people who are not as familiar with what we're talking about. I think we could do different iterations of this, assuming different levels of familiarity with what we're talking about. But my what I'm always telling my staff and myself is that, keep it simple, so to speak. And so, we can, yeah, I mean, that was the mindset I was looking at when drafting these, which is why they're kind of so simple. So
No,
I like
mean,
simple though, and focusing on the big five is perfect,
Mhm.
I know, I
especially for the
totally get
first
that.
one.
The only,
Yeah. I do have some expertise in doing this kind of survey for data collection, quantitative and qualitative. And what Maureen said was earlier was right about the number of questions, especially. More surveys is not better. Also, it's important to recognize that the survey is just one part of multiple methods of collection. So the questions we have on the survey, we have them clear and simple and defined. We can also put on our social media. We can also put on potentially the website, ask the same questions, fill this form, and continue to direct people towards that for an ongoing process. So the survey would not be a one-time, this is the information we got. We're not going to get super good response rate. And of the people that do get this, it's the people who are inclined to use an online survey, who even look at it and who even get into it too. I do have some thoughts on the drafting. I think we need to get this out, field it as soon as possible. And I don't think that leaves a lot of room for trying to do an email back and forth with the rest of the committee or the commission. I think it'd be best if we had two people or the subcommittee sit down and just grind it out in one sitting, like in the next couple days. I'd be able to help with that too. And I have some ideas too for how to format this best for the best understanding of the recipients, and also for the best likelihood that they'll respond in a meaningful way too.
okay,
We want to move that forward, but
okay.
yeah.
I can,
Let me give you a tad bit
I
of
can-
background on that, because we don't have access to the SurveyMonkey account. So what you just said is smack dab on, because according to the new plan presented last week, we're being requested by the co-chairs to have this public survey out from June 5th through June 19th. I'm looking at my calendar now, and that's a Wednesday. Wait a minute. That is a Saturday to Saturday. So if we do what we're saying, and I'm just going to go backwards on my calendar, then we would need to get it ready and get to the comms committee to put in to SurveyMonkey. So they have a couple of days of leeway, a little runway. And then we can also email it out to all the people that Terry suggested, at all those organizations, and ask them, once we get an okay from Johnny, ask them to forward it to their members. That might really increase things.
Absolutely, that's 100% a best practice standard to ask people to share. That's how we get responses. Is people share it with their own communities.
I have questions, Maureen, about what the co-chairs gave you as far as directions, as far as what this should be on the survey questions.
They went over everything right in the meeting with all of us.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I don't
they never
remember.
gave a
I don't
direct
remember
assignment,
any
like
exact.
a task out that was like a defined, this is what you'll do by this date very clearly. That's been something
Yeah,
that's
so they didn't really talk about
kind of
what they
lacking in
wanted.
general in the whole process. But
Okay.
in its kind of generality, what I understood from the verbal instructions were to have
It's right there.
you have the ones from the meeting.
Yep,
There we go.
that's
Yep.
exactly.
Oh,
That's
I mean,
exactly
I
what I've
saw
been
that.
referring
My
to.
question is,
That's-
like,
yeah,
did they
yeah.
say what they wanted? Did they want something from
No,
each
you were right there in the same
amendment?
meeting. They didn't.
Okay,
That's the
thanks.
point, is we kind of got these
Well, I thought maybe
nebulous
you had
directions, and
conversations
so
with them.
that's the point, is that we got these nebulous directions from them. So we are kind of making it up as we go, and inferring what they may have implied.
So
it sounds to me like they've granted us, due communications. And that's they said as much when it came to like the press release or whatever. They're just like, go ahead and do it. The subcommittee and its chair have been blessed to do the thing.
So Chris, I would be happy to this weekend. I'm free this weekend if you want to work on doing that. Since you have some experience doing it, and Deanna, like how many questions we should have on there, how many, and there's lots about it. Should we have one question like hitting each of our big five? Should we have a minimum one question? So those are the kind of things I think that we have to kind of think about what we're putting together.
Yeah, I mean, just, like I literally copied and pasted that in an email and sent it to Maureen. So just take it. I mean, we can copy and paste it and send it out in another email, and people can take it and redline it and provide suggestions. Like I said, I'm not married to any of it. It was just the first attempt at getting words on paper, and I'm happy for any changes or additions. So yeah, whatever anybody wants to do with it is fine with me.
Cool.
So
I think you did
I
a
will
great job, Deanna. This is a wonderful baseline to work with.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
is.
And
Thank
I
you.
would encourage having that one deep dive rather than trying to email it and do that kind of feedback. So
Yeah.
who else
So
do we have
no,
on
I
the
really
committee?
appreciate it as well, Deanna. I also think that, and I agree with you, like the ethics committee will probably go, if I'm on that committee and I can just go, hey, you guys, what question would you like? And how would you, out there on a survey about ethics? And I think the same thing with the DEI committee as well. So I think that
We're both on.
yeah, those.
I think it would be better to get the ethics stuff, Terry, if you can when's your next ethics meeting? Because the sooner we can get those, ethics is part of the big five. That's why I'm trying to focus on the big five for the first survey.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I had a meeting, we had a meeting this morning. So we have a presentation that we'll send out just as soon as possible, and then everybody will get a gist of what we're doing. But then I also know that this is something that Dorothy feels really really invested in and stuff. So a survey question around ethics, I think that she would be interested in putting something together.
Okay, so can we put you in charge of getting the feedback from the ethics committee and then turning it back around quickly? And who wants to work on this weekend to get it ready by June 1st?
I can do a document and I'll consult with Terry for the ethics piece. And Deanna, you can take hands off or you can be involved if you want to, of course.
Just let me know. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see people's suggestions and then have a dialogue on email or whatever this weekend. I mean, I'm open to whatever. We have such a short timeline. I'm game for whatever. So
I know that some of y'all have families or lives or dogs or whatever. So
I don't have a life. I just have dogs and a very, very soul crushing practice. Just kidding.
But busy.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll let you guys handle that via email. Thank you. And thanks for taking that first stab. It's always easier. It's always harder to create than it is to edit. Okay, so the next thing I had down was just basically talking through the PowerPoint wow, there's a lot of feedback. The PowerPoint that the co-chairs are going to be using. And as of last night, when I talked to Mike in the meeting, Mike basically said they're going to create a PowerPoint for the virtual town halls. And my thinking was, if we're going to be going out into the community and making presentations to the Rotary or wherever, we should all be working off the same talking points and the actual same presentation. Does everyone here agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that's totally the baseline. I would love to see each of these pieces tasked out. So someone could come up with a baseline. We chatted, Maureen and I, a little bit earlier about it too, how it's it'll be a living thing. So it's not like this first draft has to be completely final and it'll be updated as we go. But I really think it's important for being productive to have someone have ownership and be the person to go to keep these things updated. And then as it's updated, this is one of the things that if I'm doing the web stuff, I'll be able to make sure it's included on our social media or web presence that we have in a timely fashion as well. Which just reminds me, sorry to tack on another little thing here, Maureen, but since we have it in the communication strategy to have a lead for like the input, the output, and the web, could we pick those tonight too? You think?
I say it's Eric and Dorothy. They're not here.
Okay. Well, we can do
We almost did that to you last time, Deanna. No, seriously, how do you want to handle that?
Well, I'll take the web piece, but I just want to make sure it's kind of understood what the like the input and output people would be like a hub, and primary responsibility for getting information out and for getting information in. The output person would probably be the lead for the FAQ and for the talking points, and the input person maybe would be the person being the lead for like the survey.
Okay,
and
I
for
have
community
questions.
engagement at events for getting information from people. Sorry, Terry?
I had questions about that, like if we were going to go through this, because I just wasn't quite sure. Because it seems like they overlapped a lot.
Yeah, so
It
they need to be
wasn't a
talking to each other.
clear,
Some of these
it
events are going to be
wasn't,
both ways.
yeah, it wasn't a clear, like, oh, this is the outputs responsibility. And it wasn't clear, these are the input responsibilities because, so, yeah, so I had questions about that, but.
Okay. I'm happy to take the lead on the PowerPoint. But one of our challenges is we don't have a SharePoint, so we don't have a centralized place to store everything.
Asked for that a while back.
Huh?
Did we ever get word back? I thought we asked about that like in the winter. If we could get some file sharing.
We did when we
I
were
think our
talking
file
about
sharing is called
amendments and stuff.
email.
It's awful.
I don't know right now.
We can't use our personal stuff because it'll just get pulled into public access requests.
Yeah. So for right now, I'm happy to be, because I think what Mike said last night too was they'll start the PowerPoint. They may need us to come in and pitch in. You guys have already done a lot of heavy lifting and you're already going to be working on the survey. So I'm happy to jump in on the PowerPoint. It's kind of my jam. So I'm happy to keep that up to date. We do have, let me get back there. So we've got the talking points. That's going to be a little bit of a, we're going to have to cram on that one just to make sure everyone stays on the point. But Deanna and I have already talked about that. Talking points is her jam, so she's happy to help out as well. Many hands make light work. So there's a lot of moving parts right now. And so what I'm trying to do, instead of fill up everyone's inboxes with every morsel, is talk to people offline and try and arrange all that ahead of time. So we
So
do
I have to
need
tell you,
to
Maureen,
come up
I
with
do want to know about.
excuse me, we do need to come up with a sign up system of some sort for all those different public engagements in a way that we all go out in 2 to 3 people presentations. Because it has been decided that it is a best practice to not let just people go out solo. There's a whole lot of reasons for that. So we're going to have to figure out a form or some type of county website, something. I'm already noodling it. It could just be a simple Microsoft form, but for all of us to sign up on the whole commission. And then we're going to be constantly developing the FAQs because those are going to be developing as we take the virtual town halls, the survey, that kind of thing. Okay, that's it. Go to the order. Go for it, Terry.
Oh, no, I just talking to people offline, and we already went through this earlier. I think that there needs to be a little bit better communication within the communication team. And I think that we already went through it, and you said that you would make an effort to do that. So I'm good with that. And I would like for that to continue and be best practice.
Well, and I think something that I mean, I'm happy to go to any events that I can go to. I think as long as we all have good talking points, I think that, people who are passionate about talking to the public and interacting with the public, whoever's comfortable doing that. I mean, Terry's great with sharing her passion and sharing things, and she's got, great ideas. And so I think that, I am happy to support as needed in any of those, so whatever works for everyone.
Well,
Yeah,
I think that all of our commissioners are going to be
sign up.
interested in doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like
the more the
having
merrier.
a sign up, including everybody in that.
This is going to be one of those times when having 15 of us is actually going to be to our benefit. So go ahead, Chris.
Goodness for that. So I'll be doing a last kind of cleanup version of the strategy the next couple days. Yeah, I think even if we don't do it all the granular every little email, at least knowing what everyone's tasked with and who like the hub is for a particular piece or thing would be super helpful for all of us to be aware of. And it occurred to me for the teams or whatever, I think I made a mistake in saying a team should be input, one should be output. Those are the two communication ways. But after hearing you guys talk, it sounds like it might make more sense for one person to be like the events hub and one to be like the informational pieces hub. So one person would be coordinating the form to see who wants to sign up for things, who would be coordinating with other organizations and stuff like that. And one person would be working on things like the FAQ and the talking points. I can make that nudge in the in the strategy, but it would just mean it would make it for like one events lead and one informational lead or something like that. Does that give anybody heartburn if I just make that small shift?
No,
It
and that
with the
will,
flow of things.
no, I like that. And it will kind of clear up the confusion I had about like where I saw some of these things kind of overlapping. And it's like, well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
isn't that more of an output thing, or isn't that more, when I was reading those? So thank you for doing.
Yeah, that's
for
exactly where you
taking
got
that
me
off.
thinking along those lines. Like I saw that it was causing, it was not, it was confusing. So I think we can fix it by doing that. And just a really quick question. I think Terry, are you available to just continue working this evening at all on like the survey? If I get in touch
I can
with
do
you
that.
Okay.
I can do that. Can I have dinner first?
Yeah.
Can we talk later?
I'll
Is
check
it
in with you.
meatloaf?
No, I don't have the meatloaf.
It's not bacon wrapped meatloaf because I'll take some of
No,
that.
but
You know,
that was the best meatloaf I've ever made, though. That was my husband loved it.
That looked pretty good. So, okay, now we're all hungry. So I will let you guys all go. We'll keep in touch. Thank you for working on the survey. If people, because the comms team did ask for one point. So if you guys could just forward me on whatever your final draft is, and I will work with comms to get it into SurveyMonkey. The other thing I'm going to do is try and get a QR code so people can just scan it and do it easily. Like if we want to
Ooh,
have,
that's good.
Terry, when you're doing, right? Like when you're doing those farmers markets and any of that stuff, you can have, maybe what we could do is get Johnny to print out that,
mhm,
get the QR code. What do you think about that?
that'd be great.
That's a great idea.
Make it
Because then
easy
we
for
catch,
people.
yeah, because then we
We
catch
could even
people.
have a button,
But
the
yeah,
QR code, and take it right to the Clark County, to the Charter Review page. Like QR code opens up our page, I
Oh,
have a
that's a good
button.
idea too.
I have a button machine. If anybody wants buttons.
well,
A
that's
quick question. I'm sorry if this has already been done, but there's just so many emails that at the end of the workday, it's everything at once for me for
Mhm.
Charter.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to
If you could
minimize
send
it.
like a Word document with the survey questions one more time, please. I'd appreciate it.
Mhm. And then you
All right,
guys,
guys.
I think somebody heard, I think Chris and Terry heard this, but if you guys need me during the day, just text me because I don't look at I don't look at the county email until the end of the day. Sorry.
Okay.
The
Well,
last thing I wanted to let you know, Chris, is when I sent, okay, I'm going to send out an email to everybody tonight when I end this meeting. If you guys got inundated with a bunch of virtual town hall WebExes, it literally took Lee and I, it literally took Kristen and I probably over 2 hours to set up just 3 WebExes. It's very laborious on the county site. It is not as streamlined as I am used to in business. So just know, I want you to please check and make sure you got all 3, because I noticed, and Chris noticed this too, all of our people who are county employees have a different email, and I can't send it to his county employee email. So I had to reduce stuff. So bear with us while we're trying to get all this stuff straightened out, but I set it up so everybody here is a panelist too. The public will come in as attendees. You guys will all come in as panelists. So you'll have a little bit more power of chat and muting and all that kind of thing. Okay, that's it. I lied. I stole 4 extra minutes. I apologize.
We kept on piping up too. On that note with the town halls,
Yeah.
are we scheduling planning meetings for those for how they're going to be run?
That's up to the co-chairs. All they
That's the
did was
co-chairs, not
ask us.
communications. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Maureen,
But
I got
may end up.
I got 6 emails.
I bet you did. You probably got
Oh.
1 to attend and 1 that you're a presenter or a panelist.
Oh, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, it's very confusing. And PS, for the co-chairs to be doing stuff, they don't have their own WebExes. So I don't think that they thought about this when they walked through this, but that means that not only will I need to be there to facilitate every one of these virtual town halls, that if they want to do anything else, then they're going to have a WebEx, or I'm going to have to be there to facilitate. So we'll figure that stuff out, and I'll work on those logistics so I don't bore you guys with all that stuff. But anyway, I'm going to send out that town hall email now so you'll know exactly what it's about.
Okay,
Cool.
great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a happy Memorial Day. Eat some
Oh, I forgot.
cheeseburgers and
Me too.
I know. Well, the sun's not shining.